You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? It is your girl, your diva in knowledge, Lady Mocha, representing Mocha's Cafe de Paris. Well, I'm always serving you wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual awareness. And yes, I am back. I had to take a recess because I was just having too much problems, with my content. Basically, it gets expensive when you decide to make this a craft, when you decide to actually make this as part of your everyday regimen, right? So nevertheless, I had to fall back because I was having too many problems with my audio. I had people coming in the comment section basically bashing the quality of my content. A lot of people, a few, not many, most were pretty respectful about it, but I had a few that was basically letting me know that my microphone was trash, and I even had one who was very direct in letting me know that. And I had to fall back, because I'm not a big time content creator, so I don't get all kind of donations. I don't make a living. I don't get a paycheck from YouTube. So I had to fall back until I got my funds right. Unfortunately, my primary business as a family violence intervention professional, that is what's making the steak and the potatoes, the bread and the butter for me. So once I accumulated all of the funds, which fortunately I was able to accumulate a substantial amount of money in a short nick of time, and that's how I was able to go about getting the right equipment in order for my content to be effective and to have good quality. So I had to invest and get a better mic. I had to get the system software on my laptop upgraded. It was a lot that I had to do, and it takes money, and a lot of people don't realize how much time and effort it takes into being a content creator, because anybody can just upload through a little iPhone or something like that. But when you got to go out here and purchase cameras and purchase microphones, I had to make my own soundproof booth, so that way my voice wouldn't be traveling, and that way y'all can get good, clear audio. So it was a lot that I had to do to make sure that my content was going to be on point and be effective. And fortunately, I was able to accomplish that by the grace of God, and also by the funds that I'm receiving. So that's why I say, listen, I can't put a lot of my time in the blogging because this is not where I get paid. You get what I'm saying? So even today, I got a lot of paperwork and all kind of stuff I got to do for my primary business. But I definitely want to thank all of you who have still been supporting me, still been rocking with me, still been dropping by, showing love, even though I haven't been uploading a lot. I thank y'all for still letting me know that y'all were concerned about me and was wondering, if I was going to upload some new material, some new content. And yes, absolutely. I feel way more better now. Now that I have the correct equipment, now that my audio and everything is good. So when you have what you need, you can be good at what you do. You get what I'm saying? It's like, how can you be a good truck driver and you don't have a reliable truck? Your truck breaking down, you always got maintenance that needs to be done. You're not able to drop your loads off, in a proper amount of time. It really starts to reflect on you as a reliable employee. And that's the same way the YouTube spectrum works. If you are subscribed to someone that has poor quality content, sooner than later you are going to unsubscribe once you feel that everything is not up to code. And that's what happened. So I did lose a couple of people, but I'm cool with that, because for every 2, there's going to be 5 that's going to replace that. You get what I'm saying? So for those of you who are still subscribed, I thank you. I welcome you. And again, donations are always appreciated, but support is appreciated even more. So If you cannot donate, just at least show that you appreciate by hitting that thumb, that like button. That really helps my videos to go back into the algorithms, and I'm definitely going to need that even more so now because I done fell off. And now I got to jump back on and saddle it up. You get what I'm saying? But nevertheless, I am here, so I appreciate everyone who's been still vibing with your girl, right? So, not for all of that, but I owed it to y'all to let y'all know what was going on and why I fell back the way I did. So, this was the latest, right? We have 2 female officers that are fired from, and again, that's not the correct prison. The prison is actually Smith State Prison, okay, not Coastal State. It's Smith State, right? And matter of fact, see if I can change that really quickly. Okay, I had to make that change right quick because I didn't want to speak in terms of the wrong correctional facility, right? So Smith State Prison, again, not Coastal State. Coastal State Prison is located here in Savannah, Georgia. I'm talking about Smith State Prison, which is located in Glenville, Georgia, right? So y'all, as y'all know, I am a former correctional officer. I've done it for 3 years and some change. I haven't been in corrections, I believe, since 2021, somewhere in that ballpark, right? And during my little duration there, I definitely learned a lot. And one thing I will say is that being a correctional officer is not for the weak. And corrections is definitely not for a lonely man or a lonely woman. If you're someone suffering with low self-esteem, or you are strongly in need of a companion or a soulmate, or you're in a very vulnerable space in your life in which you have just lost a loved one, maybe someone you cared about passed away on you, this is not the profession for you. You're going to have to go into this profession very strong-minded. You cannot go in this type of profession with any missing links in your life, because the last thing you want is to put yourself in a position in which you are getting attention from these inmates, from these individuals who got all day, all night, got several hours out the day to give you all the attention it is that you're seeking. Because why? Perfect common sense. They got nothing but time on their hands, right? So, guys, you have these 2 female officers here that were fired from Smith State Prison for clapping cheeks with inmates. Now, this is a very, very common issue. Unfortunately, a lot of women, lonely women, I won't say women, but lonely women who go into this type of profession not seeking a career, not seeking income, but they're actually seeking a companion, which is one of the worst situations any officer can put themselves in. I mean, not only is it embarrassing, but the consequences that come behind it is so devastating, especially to your well-being, to your reputation. Once your face as an officer makes it to that mugshot to where you're now on the local news, national CNN, it's embarrassing. It's a stain that you cannot remove. Somebody's going to always remind you. You'll always be remembered for that. And the fact that you finally have made a choice in which your mugshot has gone viral. Imagine the chances of somebody hiring you. Imagine the chances of, people not using it against you. I mean, also, your career in law enforcement, it is done for good. No one's not going to hire you, not so much just because of your mugshot, but the fact that your post is ruined. Post, for a lot of you individuals that are not familiar with it, is a specific record for all law enforcement personnel. In order for you to be certified as a law enforcement or first responder, whatever, it's imperative that your post record stays clean. That's peace officer standard. I forgot what the T stands for, but anyway, y'all get my point. So anyone who is caught red-handed in this level of scandal, your post is revoked for good. It's almost like a military military personnel that's been given a dishonorable discharge. It's not a good look. It's a very bad stain. Being a officer that's discharged for in violation of the badge, that is that's a very bad blemish on your report. That is something you don't want. It's one thing to quit, and it's one thing to get terminated over something silly, but what you don't want is getting caught in any type of violation with an inmate. Once you get caught in any violation with an inmate, you are automatically at fault. Why? Because the state has appointed you as authority, as being in leadership over these individuals that you are supposed to supervise. So anytime you fornicate, have relations, or have any type of inappropriate relationship with these inmates, even if that inmate hit on you first, even if they started it, even if they was the initiator, the state, that agency that actually hired you to serve as a public officer, you are automatically in violation. They do not want to hear, oh, he was hitting on me first. Oh, I kept telling him no, and he kept trying me. I kept telling him get away, and he kept coming on to me. None of that is going to work right. So anyway, these two ladies got themselves in a bad situation. It just goes to show you, it's not just black women, not just white women. Any woman could get got. It takes a woman who has confidence in herself, who has enough wisdom and knowledge to understand that these inmates do not have your best interests. They only out for themselves, and basically they will use anybody. If you 300 pounds, they will lie to you and tell you you're sexy, you gorgeous. They will lie. If they got to use the unattractive female officer to get what they want, that's what it's all about. As an officer, you have outside access to the world, which means you are the gate. You are the gateway to these inmates. They need suckers. They need low self-esteem, low vibrational thinking individuals to make connections and make things happen for them on the outside, because it's common sense. They don't have access to the outside. So what better way to get those connections than to get a dummy, to get somebody that's low vibrational to do the dirty work, to make that connect from the outside. Listen, these jails, these prisons are not getting access to things on their own. Somebody is giving them access, is looking out for them, and they're actually smuggling them items in there. And today's story is a prime example of that. So when y'all see these video clips and y'all see these inmates who got cell phones in the prisons, they're eating Chick-fil-A, Pizza Hut, y'all know good damn well none of those things are available in the prison. Somebody who works there is bringing it in. Perfect common sense. And you can preach this over and over and over to every new rookie officer. Don't get involved with these inmates. Don't start opening Pandora's box, because once they have been able to influence you to make one bad decision, now at that point the ball is in their court. If you don't do it, they can turn you in, blow the whistle on you. Basically, once they get you to do the dirty work, you have made yourself confined to that. Even more so, once you have been sexually involved with any of these inmates, you done already ruined, you ruined your career. You done ruined your reputation, all of that. And inmates are greedy. You can't never just do one thing and think they're going to be satisfied, they start how could I say this? They start running trains on you, you know, when you think you done with one, here comes another one coming behind that one, another one coming behind. I'm just saying, like, once you start one, you know what I mean, you don't open the door for all of them to come. Not all of them want a piece. You get what I'm saying? It's just, it gets out of hand. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, once you do one, I mean, how long you gonna go till you realize this is enough? This is too much. Anyway, y'all get my drift, right? I'm going to show y'all a snippet of the video in which I found Smith State Prison is one of the most dangerous prisons. Now, let's face it, prison is prison, but some are more dangerous than others. It's some I can think off the muscle that are bad. I know Smith State is bad. Jackson Institutional Center is bad. Now, Jackson is where all the county jails send them to Jackson. They finish getting processed to, it's like an enrollment, like an intake type thing. Then when they go from Jackson, then they ship them off to Smith State. They send them off to Wheeler. I know Wheeler is bad. I know Hancock is bad. Smith State definitely number one. It's quite a few. I think Leesville Correctional Institution is bad too. Coastal State here. But anyway, some of y'all may know just as much about the correctional institutions in Georgia than I do. If you could think of any correctional institutions that are really off the chain, please feel free to put them in a comment. By the way, anything I say in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is my disclaimer. So let me say that again. So anything I mention in this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. This is my disclaimer. Make sure y'all go ahead and hit that like button. So I'm going to go ahead and play a snippet of this video, right? Because I want y'all to see how the story unfolds for these two lucky ladies who got caught up in that chain gang, right? So let's get into it, y'all. I know.
At 6, 2 Smith State prison employees have been fired.
They are both under investigation. The Georgia Department of Corrections says that both were arrested on felony charges. They include sexual assault and violation of oath. Now, the GDC says that Kristen Pearson was a corrections officer. In a statement to WJCL 22 News, a spokesperson said that the actions of these two employees do not represent the thousands of officers who work hard every day to keep the public and the prisons safe.
Okay, y'all. So I just want to show y'all that snippet. Okay, so yeah, it's Glenville. So let me come out of there. All right, so Smith State Prison, y'all, has had a lot of issues. The prison is really like, it's really bad, you know, and a lot of it is, for one, it's a bunch of staff corruption. And the biggest staff corruption was when the warden come to find out he was doing some really shady stuff. And this started 2 years ago. So if the top is corrupt, this definitely is a major advantage for the inmates. So let me show y'all a little clip about the warden. This was 2 years ago, just to give y'all an incentive as to how bad off Smith State Prison is. So let's go to this one.
News at 5:30. I'm Jessica Savage.
And I'm Sam Baum. Now, murder, drug smuggling, and racketeering. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation is connecting cases involving all three after a murder investigation led to a corruption investigation at Smith State Prison.
Bureau Chief Dal Kennedy puts the latest arrest in context with these bigger investigations.
The firing and arrest of the prison's warden is just the latest development in an ongoing investigation that has covered prison contraband, corruption, and even murder. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation announced they'd arrested Brian Adams on charges of racketeering, bribery, false statements, and violation of oath of office. The arrest comes during an investigation of contraband coming into the prison. The prison is also at the center of a 2021 murder investigation. Investigators say suspects including a Smith State inmate, planned to murder a prison corrections officer to hide the contraband. Instead, they killed one of the officer's neighbors, Bobby Kicklighter. Adams surrendered to sheriff's deputies at the Tattnall County Jail and is now free on bond. I spoke with Adams' attorney by phone. He said he did not want to make any sort of statement this early in this investigation. Of course, we'll continue to follow this case and bring you any developments. In Tattnall County, Dow Kennedy, WTOC News.
All right, y'all. So as y'all can see, Smith has it really going on, right? Okay, so another, like I said, I'm just showing all of you this stuff. I'm showing you these different clips just to enlighten you all on how bad Smith State Prison is. So I'm going to show y'all another one. This is just a situation.
Department of Corrections says an inmate has been found dead at Smith State Prison. Inmate Orlando Jordan died Friday, according to GDC officials. The 36-year-old was serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole for a 2014 murder in Fulton County. It's unclear how Jordan died. GDC says his body has been turned over to the county coroner and will later be transported to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation Crime Lab to determine a cause of death. The death investigation, however, is being led by GDC's Office of Professional Standards.
Okay, so it's really, really bad, but I wanted to show y'all, this is one more of, I remember when a woman got murdered, I said the wrong word, got unalived, for basically, let me see, this is another situation that happened. Let me show y'all this one too.
Officers are now behind bars after trying to smuggle contraband inside a state prison. As WJCL 22 News' Andy Cole explains, this is not the first case of prison staff getting arrested for trying to sneak illegal items inside.
2 corrections officers have been arrested trying to bring contraband inside Smith State Prison, but they're not alone. In 2024, 6 people have been arrested.
Smith State Prison back in the spotlight once again.
This is a bad contraband year. People being arrested, people, including officers.
A half dozen people arrested trying to bring contraband inside. The latest are 2 former corrections officers, both sergeants. Shania Odom, according to the Tattnall County Sheriff, was charged with bringing in marijuana and giving it to the inmates. The Department of Corrections says Rosemary Johnson had personal dealings with an inmate. She was arrested on Tuesday.
I think that this is something, contraband, particularly at Smith, is something that isn't being looked at enough.
To kick off the year, a visitor, Alexis White, was arrested after bringing in paper wrapped in a bag. It may seem like nothing, but Burns says it could be soaked in a chemical that inmates could smoke and get high. Later in January, 3 others were arrested, bringing in a cache of contraband, including drugs, drones, cell phones, and more.
It's just a rough prison. And contraband in some ways is the least of it.
All of these arrests come a year after the former warden, Brian Adams, was arrested, accused of taking bribes by a gang inside the prison. Georgia Department of Corrections said in a statement, quote, "The GDC does not tolerate any activity that poses a threat to the safe operations of our facility, whether staff or civilian," adding that any staff that violates their oath will be fired and prosecuted.
We've got all the details on all the arrests on our website, WJCL.com.
Okay, y'all, so y'all see it's a whole lot of corruption that is going on in this prison, and it has been going on for years, and it hasn't let up, right? So I'm going to show y'all one more, and then we're going to go into the main situation at hand, because I remember this one. I remember when this other woman, she was temporarily working there, and she had got involved with the inmate as well, and he actually had received a gun, and he unalived her. This is her right here, and at the same prison, y'all, Smith State got it going on, honey. Okay, so let's get to that. This happened in 2024, so I'm gonna show y'all that right quick. Let Let me see.
With the division rival Phillies, the Braves were looking to...
Hold on, y'all. It's showing me sports. And that I do not want to see.
You've heard of a haunted house, but have you ever heard...
Okay, so look like I'm going to have to... Okay, so that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and see if I could find the actual story of the woman. Okay, so all right, so this is what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to put her name in here. Okay, because I definitely want to share that with y'all, because she was working there as well, and she was fraternizing with an inmate. Okay, yeah, this is it right here. Okay, I want to show y'all this one. Last one, y'all.
Questions surrounding a worker's murder inside a Georgia State prison over the weekend.
Investigators say an inmate managed to get a gun inside Smith State Prison and then killed the kitchen staffer before turning the gun on himself.
Did y'all hear that? He was able to get access to a gun. Y'all know that is that's an inside job. Come on, bro. Like, for real. Let's go.
Say they believe the inmate and victim had a relationship. Fox Eye's Rob D'Arienzo has been digging into the details of this very alarming story. Rob?
Yeah, and the biggest concern tonight is people really aren't sure about how that inmate managed to get his hands on a gun behind bars at one of the state's maximum security prisons and then use it. The Department of Corrections still does not have an explanation for us tonight, but we've since learned that the kitchen employee killed early Sunday morning was just 24 years old. The Georgia Department of Corrections says inmate Jadrakis Hart shot the Aramark food service worker inside Smith State Prison in southeast Georgia early Sunday morning. She's been identified as 24-year-old Orion Grace. The prison says Hart then turned the gun on himself.
That, to me, is shocking to the conscious, and I hope that this is a wake-up call for the Georgia Department of Corrections.
Joshua Schiffer has practiced criminal law in Georgia for 2 decades. He says this incident demonstrates a complete failure by the Department of Corrections leaders.
This institution, Smith, is a notorious institution because it's a high-security institution dealing with some of Georgia's most dangerous and threatening inmates.
Back in October, investigators say an inmate there shanked 42-year-old guard Robert Clark to death from behind. Earlier last year, the GBI charged the prison's warden in a sprawling contraband conspiracy. Hart was serving time for voluntary manslaughter and aggravated battery from a 2015 case out of Carroll County. His earliest release date would have been 2043.
This wasn't a shank or a piece of wood or a razor blade. This was a firearm with ammunition, and everybody needs to realize how dangerous this situation was and how indefensible this death is.
The entire state correctional system has been under a years-long federal investigation into allegations of civil rights abuses. The state legislature just formed a committee to review it from top to bottom.
This example is an unfortunate reflection of what's happening in Georgia prisons as a whole.
Just a little while ago, a spokesperson for the prisons told us they believe Hart and Grace had a romantic relationships. They say he did leave behind a suicide note, but there is still no clear answer about how that gun got into a Supermax.
And they're not going to say how it got there, because the prison is smart enough to know that none of those inmates are capable of bringing in a gun. So what they're going to do is they're going to protect their own. And I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, they're going to find a way to get around not having to be held accountable. They're not going to blame it on the staff. They're going to try to come up with something slick. Now, this is the last video in which somebody, I believe, it's the family members who speak out about what happened to that young lady, Orion Grace. That was the woman who allegedly was in a relationship with the inmate Jamaricus or whatever his name is, and he unalived her with the gun. So I want to hear what the family had to say about it.
We learned that the pair had a personal relationship, but the attorney for Orion Grace's family says investigators should be more concerned with how a gun got behind prison walls.
firearm in the prison system is beyond me that I can comprehend.
How a firearm got into the hands of inmate Jadrika's Hart is the question on the minds of Ariane Grace's family. Their attorney, Malone Hart, sharing their devastation after the death of the young mother of two.
There's no way that she could have brought it in based off the security she has to go through. It's the security elsewhere that's lacking, and we believe this firearm was actually brought in prior to her ever working there.
The family claiming they have not been treated with respect by the Department of Corrections.
No way that a family should lose a mama or a child, a daughter, because she's in a bad relationship. The focus should be on the system acknowledging that they should do some stuff, take some precautions to stop stuff from this from happening.
Grace began working in the prison kitchen in January. Inmate Hart was serving 20 years for voluntary manslaughter out of Carroll County with a maximum release date of June 2043. A current employee blames Warden Jacob Beasley and Commissioner Tyrone Oliver for not cracking down on contraband. News 3 kept this employee's identity anonymous since she claims to have received several death threats.
The inmates are running the prison. We're just allowed to be there. And we're allowed to go home every day by the grace of the inmate.
She has worked in the prison system for almost 15 years, most recently in the mailroom. She says Grace should have never been put in a deadly situation.
There should be an officer running that kitchen and supervising what's going on, and there should be no guns in the institution. It should be an impossibility.
This incident is still under investigation. Now, this is the second killing of a staff member here at Smith State Prison in less than a year. You may remember last October, correctional officer Robert Clark was killed with a homemade weapon while escorting an inmate. News 3 learns that the pair...
All right, y'all. So as y'all can see, right, I've shared plenty clips to, just to show y'all, you know what I mean, like how out of hand this has gotten. This prison, like many of prisons, the protection and the safety of the officers are going to always be a liability, because you have officers like these three that I'm going to mention. With the two, and it's the third one somewhere also. And this is the reason why the well-being of the officers is always at risk, because unfortunately you have officers that will bring in weapons, they will bring in contraband, and they're not understanding that these items that you are smuggling into the prison, into the jails, these same weapons can be used against you as the officer, or used against another officer that's doing their job and not violating, you know what I mean? So officers like this do need to be terminated. They do need to be fired, because they put the officers who are doing the right thing at stake. And not to mention, they put their own lives at stake. I mean, if you bring in a knife, you bring in weapons for inmates, the chances of you not thinking they're not going to use it against you, that's you're mentally challenged if you even believe that for a second. Like with the young lady whose life was taken, I figured the prison was going to try to find a way and state that she was the one who possibly brought the item in, brought the weapon in, and see, they can use that as free game, because the point is she was having relations. She was in a relationship with the inmate. Now, it does not condone that the jail should not be held, the prison should not be held accountable for not keeping up with these things, right? However, these jails will tell you that when you fill out the application, and mind you, she was not an employee of that prison. She was contracted from another company who hires people to work in the kitchen, to work in the staff. The other officer who remained private, she even stated that it should have been other officers there in the kitchen, that she should have not been by herself. That jail is never adequately staffed enough for non-officers, those who are not certified officers, whether if you work in the kitchen or you work as a janitor, civilian positions basically. Anytime there's not enough staff, You definitely should not even be hiring anyone for being that there's not enough of certified officers. Let me take that back. You should not be hiring any civilians, those who are non-certified, because they don't have the training or the means to be able to protect themselves. Some of these prisons, they are sloppy. They want so badly to get staff. They don't care enough to look into their history. They don't care enough to explain things to those who are not hip to the game, who are not used to the manipulation and the psychology that these inmates will run on them. They don't prepare non-certified officers for this type of training, because think about it. If you have officers who was given this type of training and they still, did not take heed, what makes you think those who don't have no training at all are going to know to take heed? So you have Smith State Prison employee arrested in March for violation of oath of office and improper sexual contact by an employee. She began her employment on October 3rd, 2022, terminated on March 27, 2025. And it states basically how the GDC regulates every prison in Georgia. They basically monitor the whole prison as a whole, and that is one of the biggest policies, that any officer who violates their oath or jeopardize their non-negotiable mission of public safety, they are a threat and a liability to these correctional institutions. So therefore, they will be terminated. They will, be held liable for their choices, and very righteously so, because if they're not being held liable, more and more of them are going to become comfortable. More of them are going to feel like, okay, nothing's going to happen. Even the ones who haven't done it yet, if they don't see the ones who have done it getting any consequences or getting any type of suffering any repercussions for their choices, they're going to keep taking a chance. Now, y'all know I'm always quick to go on somebody's Facebook page, because that way, you kind of have an incentive of their personality and what kind of person they are. So I did go to one of these ladies. I went to Courtney Tillman, which is and I'm going to see if Kirsten has a page too. So I'm going to go to Courtney Tillman. And as you can see, this is definitely, this is her. And it's just unfortunate that she put herself in this situation because she has children, and how I know it's the right person. I'm going to make sure, because her pictures here are going to look different. Okay, so of course she has her, they usually post this type of badge in events somebody has passed away in law enforcement. So I'm going to show you her in her badge, in her work uniform. So she has a nice looking family, and this is public information. All of this is Facebook. Okay, this is not a private page. She got it open, so nobody's violating her privacy. Okay, now keep in mind she's been in enforcement for many years. This is a picture in which she posted herself in her uniform. She's also officer here as well. And oops, let me get back. And basically she lost all of that. She got a long road ahead of her. All of those years she put into law enforcement. Now I'm going to pull one more picture where she had on her whole uniform. So you can tell she really loved being a correctional officer. And basically, she let somebody get in her head, from what I can gather. Someone got in her head, because there's no way you should be in this type of profession this long and you get caught up like that. That's for those new rookies who don't know the game. She's been in it a long time. I seen that other picture somewhere. It's here. It got to be here. Okay. She's with her fellow co-workers on that one. Okay. So she's been in this profession a long time. And I can only imagine how embarrassing, how humiliating. And the fact is, how are you going to make a living? Oh, here it is. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, and it's not easy becoming an officer. You know, you got to go through all of this training, all of this certification, and it is very, very heartbreaking when you put yourself in this type of predicament, right? But anyway, I want to get the history on her, as far as how long she's been in the profession, because it basically broke down how long she's been in the profession, because I know she has some history under her belt, and that's why I was a little shocked that both of these ladies really, but former officer Courtney, she's been in the game a long time. So I was definitely okay. So I think this is I'm not gonna play the video. Okay, so she was under investigation for the sexual assault of an inmate recently, and it's called assault, right? So even if the inmate wanted it and this was a verbal agreement, this is something the officer and the inmate was down for, the officer's automatically going to get charged with sexual assault, because you're not supposed to be smashing or banging any of the inmates at the jail in which you work for. Okay, so she let me see, get the history on Tillman, because I saw where, okay, all right, so 29-year-old Courtney Monet Tillman was arrested while working at the Smith State Prison. Law enforcement believes she was intimate with the inmate in May of 2023 and then lied about it, according to her arrest report. She was fired on November 10th, 2024, and was arrested 5 days later. She'd worked with the Smith State Prison for 2 years and 8 months. The investigation began after her employment was terminated and is still ongoing. Tillman has previous experience as a correctional officer. She has worked at 3 different correctional institutions within Georgia. She's resigned from 2 of them. Another former employee, Martha Martin, resigned from her job as a correctional officer while under investigation. So there's a third one in question, y'all. She resigned the same day her co-worker Tillman was fired on November 10th. Records show the investigation into Martin began in January when she was employed at Smith State Prison. She was never arrested. She's worked at 4 different prisons since 2013. She resigned from one and transferred from 3 others. Best believe they're going to go back and pick up Martin if they have proof of any indication that she had been with an officer, because this is the thing. A lot of officers think as long as they resign and they quit, it's not going to come back with them. No, if you were caught, even if you were not caught, if they have proof that you were employed with that agency at that time when you were getting your claps cheeked by an inmate, they can still come back and arrest you, whether a couple of months from now or a year from now, once they got all the evidence. So you don't get to dodge the bullet just because you quit. A lot of officers think that. Okay, so yeah, so Courtney Tillman, the one who was arrested, yeah, she definitely had history working in a jail. You know, she definitely had history with that. So she knew better. No, I'm going to see about the page. I'm going to see if Kristen has a page as well. It's just a sad situation, y'all, that you have officers who get caught up in this. All right, I'm going to see if Miss Pearson has a page. Okay, it does not look like it. Okay, she lives in Baxley. I don't know. I don't think if any of these women are her. Live in Baxley. And I don't want to. That's a very common name, Kirsten Pearson. And I don't want to possibly call the wrong person out. I don't think this is her. Okay, so I don't have a lot of time to dig into that. I'm sure she has a page, but I definitely wouldn't want to call the wrong person out. This kind of looks like her. Kind of favors her a little bit. Damn, I just had a picture of her. Okay, I got a lot of windows and stuff open. Okay, so if I go back and see her picture. No, I want to see the picture. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to go to images. Images should give me a direct picture of her. No, it's showing other officers that was arrested. But yeah, for the most part, yeah, I can't tell if that's the same person or not. And I don't want to put somebody's Facebook page up there. Okay, so this is her here. But she looks pretty rough, so I really can't. I really can't tell. So anyway, I'm gonna come up out of this or whatever. I'm gonna just come up out of this. But y'all get my drift. Both of these women were arrested basically for their actions, and that's the whole bottom line, right? So let me just get back to the main point at hand, so I don't take up too much time surfing and browsing, right? But anyway, we get the main logistics of the situation. This is the reason why, in many cases, a lot of women do not need to be correctional officers, because some women cannot separate their emotional from their professional. Once they get involved with an inmate and they look at him as a man versus looking at him as an inmate, all common sense goes out the door. Both of these women had enough of training and experience in law enforcement to know that game was being ran on them. However, it's not just female officers that get influenced. You have male officers that get influenced as well. You know, inmates get into them guys' heads, and you know, I remember training a young guy one time, and the problem was a lot of the officers he would have been in authority over, he was around the same age range. So they really did not look up to him as an officer. And you have a lot of inmates, unfortunately, if you don't conduct or carry yourself in a professional manner, they will treat you like you are on their level. You have to correct them on everything, down to simple things. You can't get away with letting them call you nicknames like sweetie, bae, sweetheart, queen. You got to make sure they address you by your first name. No, I'm Officer so-and-so. I'm Officer Brown. I'm Officer Black or whatever. Can't let them get away with them pet names. It seems harmless, but eventually it does lead to other things. And especially if a woman is lonely and she's struggling with confidence issues, you're not used to being complimented. You're not used to being told you're pretty. You're not used to being told, you know, that you're attractive, and they're paying attention to your hair, your nails, because them inmates, they pay attention to everything. Every time I would get my nails done, they noticed it. Anytime you change your lipstick color, they notice it. Anytime you change the color of your hair, they notice it. If you cut your hair, they notice it. They have all day to study you and pay attention to you. So it's not that they're so much attracted to you. For one, it's not that many women. They don't have access to women. So the closest way they can get access to the opposite sex is through a female officer. Not only that, you know, it's more of them than it is staff. You know, it's way more inmates. It's more of them than it is of you over them, if that makes sense. So you have every bit of 50 to 80 inmates that are outnumbering you. All of them have all their eyes on you before you have your eyes on all of them. They will always have an advantage. And anytime you're in that type of profession and you feel yourself getting too close, or you have already allowed them to pop your cherry, at that point you have to make a decision. If you stay, they're going to raise the stakes. You know, these inmates are smart. They know the rules better than the officers. They know the policies better than the officers. Once they know, once they have given they were granted the privilege to clap those cheeks, it's downhill from there. Whatever they want from you, you have to deliver that, because now they got something to hang over your head. If you sneak them in a piece of gum, they got you. If you let them get a sip of your soda, they got you. Because now all they got to say is, well, you know, you're not supposed to allow me to have access to those things. And because you have granted me access, I can report you. And you lose your job. You know, that same sweet talking inmate, soon as you piss him off and you don't give in to what he wants, he's letting you know that he controls you now. No, I done already had you giving me head. I done already had you put money on a debit card. I got evidence that I can turn into your sergeant and make you lose everything. You got a choice to make. Either you comply and do what he say, because you don't want him ratting you out. Because it's only ratting when inmates rat other inmates out. It's not ratting if an inmate rats an officer out. Because by nature, you're the common enemy. Officers get no empathy. Even if you were doing something out the kindness of your heart for the inmates, once you let them break you, that's it. The fun begins. And you can never pay them off enough. Had a female officer who did that same thing. Young, pretty girl. And I knew they was going to get her. She looked simple. She looked a little too naive. And they played on her with that, you know. And sure enough, she got caught up. She was using her debit card. And the bad part about it, she was using a debit card with her name. So during the investigation, that's how they was able to figure out that, yeah, it was her that put herself in that situation. Nevertheless, y'all, what is y'all opinion? What do y'all think about this situation? Female officers getting fired from these correctional institutions, you know, for getting sexually involved, you know, with these inmates, you know what I'm saying? Like, again, that's going to always be, I don't care how much you train people, you can get them all the knowledge, all the wisdom, all the precautions, and nevertheless, you know, when desperation sets in, you know, and it's so many stories just like that that other female officer, I forgot her name, but I think it was Alabama. Yeah, and she escaped with the convict Vicky White. Same thing, man. The woman was really, really lonely. She had everything. Her house was paid for, you know. She was a phenomenal officer from what her staff said, been there for years, reliable, dependable. And nevertheless, she had a problem that, you know, even all of those benefits and all of those years of putting in a career couldn't resolve. And that was loneliness. This type of profession is definitely not for the weak. But anyway, make sure y'all hit that like button before y'all exit. Apply pressure to that like button. I would appreciate it. And again, I thank everybody for still supporting me, still rocking with me. Hopefully my audio is in better quality now. Hopefully, you know, from here on out, my content will be up to standard. So anyway, y'all, I will check y'all later. And until next time, y'all have a blessed day. And I will be seeing y'all soon. I'm out. Bye.